How dare you? How in the world is Nicco Marchiol so low on your preseason Big 12 starting quarterback ranking? Folks, simmer down. I'm going to give my explanation for it here today on Between the Eers. Stay tuned. Here we go. What's up, everybody? Skylar Callahan with another episode of Between the Eers. Before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe to our page on YouTube at West Virginia on SI, and make sure to give us a follow on X at SI_WU and myself at Callahan_. So yesterday, I believe it was, maybe it was Sunday, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I put out my preseason Big 12 starting quarterback rankings. And yes, it's going to create a lot of buzz. It always does every single year. It doesn't matter where I have the West Virginia quarterback, where I have the Utah quarterback, the Iowa State quarterback, doesn't matter. Someone's always going to disagree, but that's the fun of it. That's the point of rankings. Everyone has their opinions. And now today I'm going to explain my opinion specifically just toward Nicco Marchiol, where I have him slated entering 2025. So if you haven't checked it out, go on our site, SI West Virginia. You can see the list. It's in descending order, 16-1. And surprise, Nicco is not in the top 3 or 5 or top half of this list, but he is number 13 out of the 16 quarterbacks. And I know what you're thinking. How? How is he so low? Well, folks, the Big 12 has actually got some pretty good quarterbacks in it, many of which are proven, have done a lot of good things at their previous stops or where they're at now. They have a really good resume. And while the potential for Nicco Marchiol is there, it's just a lot of uncertainty right now. And I'm not saying that he's going to end the 2025 season as the 13th best quarterback. It's right now, if you put all 16 resumes on the desk, where does his fit? Probably around the 13th spot. You could maybe make a case that it be a spot or two higher. But again, every single quarterback on this list that ranks ahead of him has been proven, has been a starter, and has done some things where they're at or where they've been. So I think 13th, a pretty fair assessment. I think putting him any higher would be unfair to him because you're putting expectations on him. Even if it was 12, who I have as Noah Fafita at Arizona, who 2 years ago put up a monster season with the Wildcats. So again, it's really difficult for me to go through and comb through this list and say, yeah, he could probably go here. He could probably be ahead of this guy. I mean, it's really difficult. I mean, let's just take a look here at the list. So 16 through 14, I have guys that are really kind of looking to make their stamp in the league, along with Nicco. That's Hoss Haney at Oklahoma State, Taven Jackson at UCF. And this could be maybe where some folks outside of Morgantown say, well, Connor Wegman, who's a former 5-star recruit, he started at Texas A&M, didn't really work out there, but maybe you could have him above Nicco Marchiol. And I would probably say, yeah, I don't know. It's close, but he didn't really do great at Texas A&M and probably didn't play nearly enough for me to put him above Nicco. In the limited sample size that Nicco's played, he's done well. So that's where it kind of gets a little dicey. But above Nicco Marchiol, I've already mentioned Noah Fafita. Then you have Jake Retzlaff at BYU. Led them to a really strong season last year. Devin Dampierre, the transfer from New Mexico to Utah. Nobody really knows this kid, but he is going to light up the Big 12. He's going to fix Utah's offense. He's going to need a little bit of work in the passing game, but as far as running the football, he's as dynamic as it gets. Caden Salter had a really strong year at Liberty 2 years ago. Kind of took a slight step back last year, but with better pieces around him. Should be very good in Colorado. Brennan Sorsby at Cincinnati. Again, he's a proven guy. He's been around for a little bit. Jalen Daniels, I feel like, is the Perry Ellis version for Kansas football because it seems like he's been around since, gosh almighty, Neil Brown's first year is what it seems like. And that might be the case. 2019, 2020 seems about that right neighborhood. And then you get into the top echelon of the league. It's Avery Johnson, Rocco Becht, Josh Hoover, Sam Levitt, Baron Morton, Sawyer Robertson. I think really, to be honest with you, you could name any order of those top six quarterbacks, and I would really have a hard time disagreeing with you saying this guy's one, two, or three, and this guy's four, five, and six. I think really those top six are interchangeable, and it's really hard to really separate them. I think from Sawyer Robertson all the way down to even Jalen Daniels, you can make a case for a lot of those guys. So who does Nico sit above? I mean, yes, Caden Salter at Colorado, he played at a lower level in Liberty, but put up really good numbers at Liberty. Nico, again, has never been the full time starter. That's why there's some hesitancy there. Same thing with Devin Dampierre. Yes, this is a step up in competition, but where he was at, he was pretty lethal. So for me, it comes down to experience, what he's put on tape, and the sample size. Nico played well last year against Cincinnati, but he only threw the ball 15 times. That's one of the things that somebody brought up to me. I think it was on X that hey, he's beaten this many of those quarterbacks ahead of him on the list. Okay, well, Cincinnati was a train wreck last year. First of all, that secondly, he threw the ball 15 times. He didn't have to do a whole lot to win that game. They didn't try to put Nico or the game in Nico's hands. Arizona, I'll give you that. Arizona also pretty much a train wreck last year, and I will give him that. He did play extremely well in that game, probably his best game as a Mountaineer. But I just can't find another quarterback on this list who I feel 100% confident about at this point in time, June 24th, where I would say, yes, I would take Nicco Marchiol's resume over said quarterback. Now, come the end of September, end of October, I would expect that stock to rise, assuming he is the starting quarterback. Now, if you're wondering where I would have Jalen Henderson, because this is not a settled quarterback debate, this is an open competition going into fall camp. There's also a good chance that this thing trickles into the season, or at least into the final week of the preseason. I would have Jalen Henderson one spot lower. So I would have him behind Connor Wegman, and that would have him at 13th, or excuse me, 14th. So there's not a huge difference between the two. That's why the only reason I changed the ranking just a little bit for Jalen Henderson is because Nico, although this is a new coaching staff, this is a lot, a whole new situation for him with new playmakers, a new offensive line. He's been here, he's been in the program, he feels settled. There's just some changes going on around him, but he's also got a little bit more experience, especially of late, than Jalen Henderson. Jalen's coming off an injury from, technically two bowl seasons ago that kind of kept him out, didn't really play much. New coaching staff at A&M with Elko didn't really fit. So that's kind of the reasoning why I have Nico just slightly ahead of Jalen Henderson. At the same time, though, I'm not necessarily projecting him to win the job. This is just, hey, I had to pick a starting quarterback. I'm going with the guy that's been here the longest, has a little bit of experience as a starter. So we'll go with Nico there. But I want to make this very, very clear. I do believe Nico can be a top half of the league quarterback by the end of the season. Again, assuming that he wins the job and keeps the job from start to finish. This is not a projection. So don't believe that somebody on X or somebody on Facebook is saying, look at this dummy. Skylar Callahan thinks West Virginia's got one of the worst quarterbacks in the Big 12. Folks, it's a resume as of June 24th. What resume does he sit above? I put him above a former five-star quarterback that started games at Texas A&M. Everybody above him has produced. Okay, there's 12 other quarterbacks in this league that have starting experience and have produced at a high level, whether it's at their school now or at a lower level. To me, that still means something. There's a lot of question marks about Nicco Marchiol. There's a lot of question marks about Jalen Henderson. And for me to put him higher on this list, I think would be an injustice. I just don't think it makes any sense. So I understand the frustration, but just realize it's a resume thing as of right now. It's not saying he can't get there. Let me know what you guys think now that you've heard my spiel, you've heard my side of it, my explanation. Where would you put Nicco Marchiol heading into 2025? This isn't a projection. I'm not telling you to project where he's going to be. Tell me where he is today. If there's a quarterback or two or three or four that you think he should be ahead of, let me know in the comments section here on YouTube. That'll do it for us here today on Between the Eers. I'm Skylar Callen. Make sure you give us a like and hit subscribe. We'll be back here tomorrow on BTE.